Unang Ibo Felicia Gunawan. Terima kasih.
Hello everyone! Selamat datang! Thank you for your time. Thank you for taking your time out of your busy schedule to be with us today. So we will be speaking about the future of work. How can we find focus? Not only just to get by in our day, get distracted by everything, especially in the distraction era right now. So to start it off, can I get a hand from your end? Anybody of you over here have heard or have used ASANA before? Okay, I've seen a couple hands, but it seems like most of you haven't heard of ASANA before, yeah? No worries. So please, on that note, allow me to introduce who is ASANA and how ASANA could actually participate in this. So ASANA is actually a work management tool that helps teams to collaborate, right? To get the works done from our daily task all the way to the strategic initiatives. A lot of buzzwords here, but you will get to see this come in play as I'm going along with this slides. But in this session, there are three key components that we will talk about. Okay, what is the current work in this distraction era? How everybody is currently working. Second, the kind of challenges that our workers are currently facing and what they need to overcome so they can stay focused
Belum bisa close up,
and
kalau
reach
close up lagi
that
maju.
status of workflow. And lastly, how we can help them to find that focus and flow. So first, in this work of distraction era, I can go on with some details, some strategic data and research about what is working look like right now. But I don't think there is any better way for us to look at this than sharing my own personal story. I can clearly remember being at the back of this taxi ride going to Soekarno-Hatta after back-to-back meeting. And then one single text from my boss asking me, Val, how is the update for our meeting, for our event next month? That one single text is enough to get my head everywhere. I need to trace all different emails to just get into the vendors, proposals from all different vendors. Then when I'm talking about that, I think about the marketing collaterals, the brochures. I need to get the approval from my marketing team. But there are three different levels of approvals that I need to get. And where are we right now? And while I'm doing that, I think about the Google Sheet that my colleague shared with me about the list of vendors that we need to get for our swags. The list goes on. And while I'm doing with that, I get into the the WhatsApp group. Like when we're talking about the speakers, the panelists that we are inviting. And when I'm looking into this WhatsApp group, I got the message from my team, from my client, asking about, can you give me the contract for my deal? These are just some of the examples of our daily routine. How we are constantly distracted, even when we're doing our work, even when we hope to do our work, but we're constantly distracted. Then how can we help our team? Is this what we call future of work? So when we are trying to look into this, what we call future of work, there is major disruptions that are happening in the past few years. Like we all know, the pandemic hit. And this pandemic initially hit us pretty bad, that 29 millions of Indonesians said that they are negatively impacted by pandemic. But as all human beings do, we adapt And now, globally, we see that 57% of workers wants to stay in the hybrid, like have this flexibility of working arrangement. And to bring it closer to home, in Indonesia right now, 83% of our workers in Indonesia wants to keep this hybrid working arrangement. But the problem is, we are missing the link. And how can they stay collaborative? How can they still be productive while they are staying at home? And this creates concerns for the HR leaders to the leadership team. How can they strike a balance? Well, this is clearly one of the key value propositions that millennials and Gen Z's workers are looking for when they are looking for a job. How can we help in this era? And if we are maintaining status quo, what is the impact right now? While we always have this impact gap of how much efforts that we put on the table and the impact that we are creating on our work, the problem is it's not enough. But recently, in the past few years, we see that this, what we call impact gap, has widened up. So we need to work extra harder to communicate, to collaborate, to complete our work. And that creates a direct translations to our business. And that creates like 15% of our deadlines that missed. And moreover, our teams feel burdened. Our teams feel disconnect and burden. Many entrepreneurs like right now stay in the hybrid situation and the current structure of modern teams. The modern teams are built cross-functional, from sales, operations, HR, procurement, so on. And the problem is, while we are working very focused in our function, it creates silos. Everybody's working their own turn. And that creates even a bigger problem as we collaborate. So how can we overcome this information overload? Right now, we see the challenges that they face and how they can overcome these. So we did a survey in an annual basis called Quality Network to understand what are working and what should not working at the organizations to 10 to 12,000 workers globally, knowledge workers. And what we found is we actually spent too much time doing the busy work. The funny part is that when we already know about this, we always know that we are doing some admin work, which all of us dreaded to do. But we thought we probably spent about 1/3 of our time doing that, and the rest of our time doing the real work while we are hired. It's actually not true. I will like to just touch a little bit about what is work about work, because this is just a little buzzword. Work about work, you can imagine what I had to do in the back of that taxi ride to just complete my job. Keep going around, switching from one app to another to collect informations, to call people around to check about the status updates of a project, duplication of work, and so on. So what happened is that the reality is we are spending 1/3 of our time doing skilled works. A very minimum time to do strategic work that really gonna help us in a big way. Like for all of us, mostly over here, that means how we plan for our promotions or business expansion. That's really matter. And most of our time is just spent in busy work. This is also another hitting ground moment for me. 129 hours are spent in unnecessary meetings. Like, we all do have that Zoom fatigue. Like, raise your hand if you haven't had that Zoom fatigue in the past 3 months. Sometimes we're just dragged into a meeting where it's not really relevant to you. And it gets into that cycle. So we need to be empower our team to say no for unnecessary meetings, just for 6 updates. Another great realization moment for me is that averagely, in global basis, as a worker, we need to have switch 9 different apps a day to complete our work. It includes from your email to your Google spreadsheet to, for instance, if you are in sales, Salesforce, Tableau, and so on. But this continuous apps switching, that makes it so hard for us to stay focused and let alone get into that state of flow when you're doing your work. So earlier I shared that this impact gap that we are facing, it has a direct translation to the business outcome, which is we are missing 15% of our deadlines. But what caused the missing deadlines? From our study, we found that 24% of these people say that they have too many meetings or just unclear processes. We're just duplicating some efforts. Or uncertainties about the priorities because everything just comes in. I don't know what to prioritize. Unclear of the visions from the leadership team. So these are some practical tips of how you can help your team to take control of their work. First, help to provide the context. So have your team to have one centralized platform to get all the information that they need. Second, provide that clarity. Who is doing what and when is it due? So it's not ambiguous. We have countless meetings, and by the end of the meetings, we're like, okay, so what was that meeting about? And what is the next steps? Who is going to be in charge of that? I thought you did that. And then another person's like, no, I thought you did that. So we don't want that because it creates confusions. And third, to reduce the use of legacy app. And this would include emails, because when people leave, everything's just gone practically. Then we also need to empower our team to reject unnecessary meetings. Because with all the different stats that I showed you, I hope at least you understand that this is a very bad way for us to get our teams to work. And lastly, to embrace asynchronous work, meaning we don't need to get people to get together at the same time at any given time. So they can finish their work at their own speed, at their own pace, at their own time. And yet things are so clear. By doing that, we can actually save 257 hours a year with the improved processes. Now that we have seen how can we help our teams to get away from these distractions. But not just having this survival mode is not enough. How can we help our teams to actually strive, find their focus, and get into the state of flow that we are talking about? Work management is the solution. Because we need to have the alignment of what's going on. Then with the cross-functional team right now, that makes it so hard for us to collaborate with each other. We need a source of one single truth for them to find that clarity. And lastly, we need to have that visibility. So both from the top down, when they want to roll out strategic initiatives, it's easier for the leadership team to understand what is really happening on the ground, what is the progress so far. And at the same time, from bottoms up, the employees, they could understand what is the impact that they are creating to the greater of the companies wide. So with that, I would like to share one example of a company that actually have implement this strategy. Gojek. I think we're all quite familiar with this company. They are hyper-growth, fast-paced company, but it gets hard when they want to plan the work strategy, because of the visual, it's hard for them to get the visibility about the product roadmap, about how things are done underneath. So what they did with a work management tool is they create a lot of automations and they create that single place to put all the informations. And with that, they save about almost 3,500 working days in annual base. With this, Gojek actually create a lot of forms, thousands of forms in every single month to centralize all the internal requests. So it's not going anywhere. At the same time, they also did automation. So there would be a time that we set up. If these things happen, this project or this task will be assigned to this person. And that will include these things we have. So there will be a lot of automations that you can set that makes things work much faster. And for a lot of products that quite standard, for instance, product launch, they created product templates. So for product launch templates, they don't have to keep reinventing the wheel every time they have this product launch. And these are just a few examples of how they use ASANA. So how ASANA could help teams across the world find focus and flow. First, by creating that sense of the power of clarity. That would increase the efficiency of the team. And that would help you to improve and the alignment across your company. And lastly, it will improve your visibility throughout your entire company. With that, I would like to thank you for your time, and if there is some more time, I would be happy to answer some questions outside on the booth, if you have it, or otherwise I'll be staying around. Happy to share more with you. Thank you.